Hello, Curious, and welcome back. Not long we were reporting on the news that Bill and Melinda Gates had announced their divorce after 27 years of marriage. The couple, who had founded their own foundation and often gave millions to charitable organizations, had given the reason for their divorce as not being able to grow together as a couple in the next phase of their lives. But with the reports that have come out in the days following their announcements, it looks like there might have been a completely different reason, not only for their split, but also for Bill leaving the Microsoft board. And what are the accusations against the Microsoft founder? And were they the real reason that he had left his position on the company's board? And amongst other revelations coming out about the businessman, it was revealed that he allegedly went to Jeffrey Epstein for marriage advice. And what did he supposedly tell former socialite about his marriage problems? And what is Melinda going to be fighting for in the divorce proceedings? Stay with us until the very end to find out the latest news about this case, but before we continue, don't forget to turn on the notifications so that you don't miss any of our future videos. For the past several decades, Bill Gates had created this public persona of a nerdy but pleasant philanthropist who many had found likable, relatable, and in some way non-threatening, which was further enhanced by his pledges to give half of his wealth through the Giving Pledge, as well as investing heavily into healthcare and addressing the climate crisis through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And due to this, some people had felt some sort of sympathy for the couple once they had announced their divorce, but that sympathy didn't last for too long after the recent allegations had come out. And if you want to learn more about the Gates' divorce and what's at stake here, then you can check out our previous video by clicking on the link above. But for now, make sure you stay with us until the very end as we look at the recent allegations against the Gates. So, while the Gates seem to be this perfect, happily married couple who helped others through different organizations, it turns out that things might have not been as perfect. And as the recent news had come out to suggest, Bill had an inappropriate, intimate relationship with a female staff member all the way back in 2000. At first, most people treated it as gossip, but then a Microsoft spokesperson with the Wall Street Journal confirming the news said that Microsoft received a concern in the latter of the half of 2019 that Bill Gates sought to initiate an intimate relationship with a company employee in the year 2000. A committee of the board reviewed the concern, aided by an outside law firm to conduct a thorough investigation. Throughout the investigation, Microsoft provided extensive support to the employee who raised the concern. As the Daily Mirror reported, the letter had detailed exact nature of their relationship and allegedly had asked Melinda to read the letter. However, that has not been confirmed. And as it was reported by the Wall Street Journal, the Microsoft board has decided that Gates should step down after the relationship almost 2 decades earlier was deemed to be inappropriate. And it was also revealed that the board had reviewed the concern and, aided by an outside law firm, had begun to conduct a thorough investigation and stated that they had provided extensive support to the employee who raised the concern. Then, while the investigation against Gates was still underway, he had stepped down from his position at Microsoft as well as from his position with the board of Berkshire Hathaway that was run by his friend Warren Buffett. Of course, as the news broke both about this relationship as well as him leaving the company, people had thoughts that he had made the decision due to the news being made public. However, a spokesperson for Gates had said that the decision to leave the board had nothing to do with the affair, adding that the affair did take place and that it was almost 20 years ago, highlighting that it ended amicably and that the decision had come now as he wanted to focus more on his philanthropy. In a press release, the tech mogul had said that he would continue to serve as a technical advisor to Microsoft's chief executive Satya Nadella. But that wouldn't be the end of allegations of Bill having affairs during his marriage. The New York Times had reported that Gates had asked 2 women who had worked at Microsoft and his philanthropic foundation during the time that he was still married to Melinda. And as per the report, he had asked out the tech company employee back in 2006 after watching her make a presentation. And according to Time, he had sent her an email in which he allegedly wrote, "If this makes you uncomfortable, pretend it never happened." Though the woman took his advice and his advances didn't materialize into anything physical. As per the publication, a couple of years later, he had asked out an employee who worked for the foundation that he and his wife had founded, and as per the reports, the pair were in New York for a work trip when he told her, "I want to see you. Will you have dinner with me?" The woman had told the publication that the approach made her feel uncomfortable, but she laughed it off. The Times had also added that there was no expectation that the woman would suffer professional repercussions for turning Gates down, though as of right now, it is not clear whether Melinda would was aware of those advances. For Melinda, there were also other issues that had caused her to step in, and that was after Michael Larson, who was in charge of overseeing Gates' personal fortune through an investment company, Cascade Investment, was accused of intimately harassing women. And back in 2017, a person had written to both Bill and Melinda to complain that Larson was harassing a female staff member at a bicycle shop that was part owned and a venture capital firm, Rally Capital, that in turn was owned by the former married couple. And in the end, the following year, the woman had reached a settlement, signing a non-disclosure agreement and receiving a payout. Though reports by the Times suggest that Melinda was not all that happy with the outcome and had ordered an independent investigation. Per the publication, Larson was placed on leave during it, but was later reinstated and still leads Cascade Investments. However, it is unsure whether any of those allegations were the reason for their divorce, but many speculate the tipping point that could have potentially led to the couple getting divorced could have been Gates' closest ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And allegedly, when those revelations were first reported in October of 2019, they had caught Melinda off guard. And at the time, Bill released a statement to New York Times that had said, "I didn't go to New Mexico or Florida or Palm Beach or any of that. There were people around who were saying, hey, if you want to raise money for global health and get more philanthropy, he knows a lot of rich people. Every meeting where I was with him, there were meetings with men, and I was never at any parties or anything like that. He never donated any money to anything that I know about." But recent reports by the Daily Beast have even more people raising their eyebrows, and it was alleged that the friendship between Gates and Epstein began in 2011, 3 years after he had pleaded guilty of soliciting an intimate act from a minor. And now reports are suggesting that the pair had met dozens of times at Epstein's palatial $77 million townhouse in Manhattan's Upper East Side between 2011 and 2014, which is far more than was previously known. And allegedly, they had become friendly after Gates suggested that Epstein become involved with the couple's philanthropic organization and rehabilitate his image after his 2008 conviction. The two men would allegedly chat about science and philanthropy, as well as joking and gossiping in a men's club atmosphere. And as the publication had reported, Melinda had warned her husband against any further contact with Jeffrey after the couple had an uncomfortable meeting with the convicted offender in 2013. And after they visited his Upper East Side townhouse, she was even more furious with her husband for their relationship. Sources that spoke with the Daily Beast went on to claim that it proved to be a turning point in the relationship between the two men after Melinda expressed how uncomfortable she was with Epstein's presence and that she wanted nothing to do with him. And when they met, Epstein had already spent a year in prison for soliciting intimate acts from minors. But he was welcomed back into the upper echelons of New York society, and after their first meeting, Gates allegedly sent an email to colleagues saying of Epstein, "His lifestyle is very different and kind of intriguing, although it would not work for me." Recent reports suggest that it was the same month that the New York Times had initially published the details of Gates' friendship with Epstein in 2019 that Melinda began consulting with divorce lawyers. And the Daily Beast would go on to allege that the two men discussed Bill's marriage, who called his relationship with Melinda toxic, and that both men had found it funny that Gates' visits to Epstein's lair was an escape from their marriage, according to the source, who said that the pair were very close. And so, responding to these claims, a spokesperson for Gates said that the characterization of his meetings with Epstein and others about philanthropy is inaccurate, and they also added, similarly, any claim that Gates spoke of his marriage or Melinda in a disparaging manner is false. Whether that was the reason for their divorce is unclear at the moment, as Melinda has not commented on this, but what we do know about their ongoing divorce proceedings is that she wants changes to her children's inheritance. And as the Microsoft founder had stated previously, each of his children would inherit only $10 million of his estimated $130 billion net worth. And it has also been stated that in their divorce filings, that a separate agreement was in place, and sources say that their inheritance is not detailed in it and that either party could change how much their kids would get. Divorce lawyer experts suggest that Melinda's decision to leave Bill now and that their youngest child that turned 18 is not a coincidence. And another expert added that we see divorces for the reason that the mother wants to protect the children, and she may be like every other woman, protecting her children. And if you would like to know more about the Gates children and why they would only inherit $10 million each, you can do so by checking out our previous video in the link to which is currently being displayed above. So curious, what are your thoughts? Do you think Bill's connection to Epstein is what set the divorce in motion? Do you reckon Melinda wants to change her children's inheritance so they get more in order to protect them? And do you think that these allegations about Gates' friendship with Jeffrey are true? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our future videos. Until next time.